In a world filled with things on the internet, two men, one podcast, two pores.
I'm ready to go. It's life changing. All right. So, breathe in, breathe out, right?
Box breathing.
Yes. I'm feeling it. I think there's no better time than now. What do you think?
Let's say let's get out
You're in?
here.
Let's go. Gotcha.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back with us here at the Two Poor Podcast. We are not in the Two Poor Podcast studios right now. We are still up in the mountains working, getting stuff done. So we're in the beautiful town of Newland, North Carolina, right outside of Linville. And I'm here with my best friend and co-host, James Gerald Bass. What's going on, my dude?
Hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm feeling good, right? I'm feeling definitely relaxed. Nice to come up to the mountains and get a reset. And
Disconnect
from things that I can't wait to reconnect to when we get back. Right?
Yeah. Re-energize for the things ahead.
I think it's important to know that I thoroughly love my life. Love my family, love my job, love my people, right?
Yeah.
I think we've got a very, very fun next hour or so of chatter. But I want you to...
This is going to be an interesting one. I like this one.
Because we both have been through it. This is not
we've been a part of the good, the bad, and the ugly on this one.
Yeah. This is one of those times where we're going to call ourselves out pretty frequently.
Yeah. Okay. Hey, man, we talk about it, honesty, right?
Yeah.
You know, let's be real.
Yeah.
We're putting ourselves out there, so we gotta be truthful.
Listen.
So definitely want to give a shout out to our main sponsor right now, Blue Diamond Pest Control, Jeff Maddox and the guys and girls over there.
Good looking out.
Thank you. Call Jeff and the guys and girls over at Blue Diamond Pest Control for all your pest control needs, residential and commercial, 704-701-0876, or hit them up on bluediamondpc.net. I don't care if it's critters or bears or even human beings, they'll take care of it.
The reality of it is, if you're a homeowner or renting or whatever, that it exists. It's real.
You have to protect your investments, the biggest investment you're going to make.
Right. All right, what you got?
Hey, real quick, I want to give a second shout out to Kenny Carver, friend of the family member. Kenny's sending me updates on the Carolina game. We're both Carolina fans. Carolina, we won. We got that dub, beating Florida State on the road. So thank you, Kenny, for all the updates. Got to watch like the last minute on my phone with the shoddy Wi-Fi we have. So UNC top 5 right now in the country, number 1 in the ACC and kicking ass. Can't wait to get up with Kenny next week and some of our mutual friends and watch the first round 1 of Carolina Duke in 2023-2024.
It's going to be a good time. We're looking forward to doing that.
Excited.
Yo, man.
You got another little shout out to Kenny, don't you?
Yeah, man.
You got another little tidbit?
Kentrell has always talked about making beats, and he is a hip hop connoisseur. The guy knows music, and so on the way here Friday, he sent me a beat, the first beat he's ever made, and that's the one that's going to be the intro and outro to this podcast.
Yeah,
I texted him back, and I was like, "What the?" And then called him, and I'm like, and of course he's so humble about it, and he's like, "Yeah, man, I did," and you could tell he is excited about it. He's like, I did this. This is how I did that, and I dead ass. I can see this guy in less than 6 months making some of the best stuff. It's crazy
when somebody says, "Hey, I made a beat," and you've never heard anything from them before
ever. And I've known this guy for almost 30 years.
Yeah, and you have no clue what's going to come from it. And you played 25. You played this last night. It was like, holy shit! Like, it's good,
dude. I dig it. I played it several times. But yeah, big up to you, Kenny. Hey, I think it's a fitting topic to go over and to discuss and have a conversation about this episode, and it is about youth sports and sideline terrorists. Okay?
So we're going to have to break that down too, and we're going to break it down with our bourbon of the episode, which we liked the Penelope so much on the last episode. We're having it again, so shout out to them.
Drink it in. It always goes down smooth.
Right?
I like it.
It's a smooth taste. It's a smooth finish. it's 80 proof, right? So it's on the lower spectrum of anything that we've put on the podcast,
absolutely.
Right? But that would be something in my my palate. That's what I prefer.
Yeah, but also, I think we've found out that both of us gravitate to more of the sweeter finish.
Right.
The caramel syrup notes, vanilla. This one less vanilla, more syrup, but it's good, man. It's a good drinker, and it's a great. It's not. We talked about the whole budget bottle thing. It's well priced, and it's a great value.
Yes,
which is most important.
And like you said before, like other kind of like Russell's has the same deal. There's several whistle pickup. There's several variances of it.
That's right.
This is the only one I've had, so I can't speak on the other ones, but it's phenomenal. Two Pour podcast, we promote having 2 pours because it's a gentleman type of thing. You don't need more than that to, relax, to, unwind from your day and, and kick it. So that's a good bottle right there.
Yeah, the 4 Grain Select.
Jumping into it, all right, youth sports. This is about parents, and it is. We're going to discuss referees and we're going to discuss coaches and all this kind of stuff. But it's the sideline terrorist comes from the many people that have kids that have gone to these games. And we're speaking directly on soccer games, but it's
everywhere. Yeah, it's everywhere. That's right.
But
that's right.
In my life, all my kids played soccer.
Yep.
And you've got these maniacs on the sideline doing a ton of different things, whether it's screaming at the ref or it's screaming at their kid, or, which is the most off-putting, is when they're screaming at somebody else's kid. Okay.
I'm glad you said that, because that's one thing I wanted to talk about too. Yeah, that's a whole different dynamic of this whole deal. Yeah,
right.
Yeah,
and
I like it.
when you're dealing with adults and you're going to be an adult about it. Yeah, you could do the bigger thing and not say anything or be quiet or whatever. I'm not built like that. I don't think you are. And there's been times where a parent would yell out and say something to one of my kids. I am who I am. I am Papa Bear. Those are my kids.
Yeah, that's where I draw the line.
And I looked at this dude one time. I remember this. Yeah. And unfortunately, it was the last game that my daughter had played before she got mono and got all this, and she couldn't play for a while. And he's just saying this rotten stuff. And I looked up, I said, who are you talking to? Why are you, that's my kid. Don't talk to my kid like that. Do you understand me? Bubba. And then I said, what number is your kid? And he's like, what? I was like, talk to her. Don't talk to my kid.
Yeah.
Not more than 30 seconds later, Isabella's going down the sideline, gets down to about 30 yards and gets fouled. She places the ball right there. Referee blows the whistle, and she smashes it in the top left corner.
Shoot.
Because I'm marginally petty, I was like, yeah! And I
looked over, yeah.
And you know, it was almost like, you know, he had to eat crow for that. But one of the things that we want to discuss about this are really the negatives from all of the just banter on the sideline that's not needed. And I'm going to go ahead and do something real quick and tell you this.
Go ahead.
I was a terrorist like no other for so many years. I am very passionate on the sideline, and I got kind of I call it a bad, you know, deal from it, where there would be parents that, you know, they're on our team and they'd be like, oh, what are you going to do? Yell at the ref today? Ha ha. And I would look at them and at first feel defensive.
Yeah.
But the reality is I made that bad. Why do I have to sit there and yell every time the ref just makes a minor mistake?
That's a good question. Why do you think?
Because I'm a meathead. Pause. Yeah. Because I have no answers for it. The only thing I know is I'll be sitting there and my wife will look at me and be like, honey, and then finally get to the point where she's like, you have to stop.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so why put yourself in a situation where you have to say sorry, or you have to, you know, literally be told like a child to stop acting like one, right?
Yeah. I think it brings out, because you and I are the same way, and you and I together on the sideline is almost too much. Like, guys, I mean, we would, you know.
When you put Mike White in the deal.
Yeah.
It's bad.
Crazy. And I think it shows our competitive nature. Yeah. I mean, we played sports competitively, and we played sports like, I mean, we
top
were 100% into it.
Yeah.
And that's how we kind of went after it. So to see our kids, which I would probably say that our kids are not as aggressive and cutthroat mentality as we are when we played.
Right. Well, the only child that I had that was most certainly cutthroat was Isabella.
Oh, yeah, a little bit. I still think that was so funny. There was we talked about it a little bit last night about another story that we're going to talk about on the next episode, but where our kids played in the same soccer club, Christian and Jules and Izzy. And so they got a chance in a preseason friendly
scrimmage.
Scrimmage for a top level girls team to scrimmage, one of the top level boys team in a friendly, just having fun.
Right.
And Jules being a goalkeeper, Christian being a striker,
so funny, dude.
And then Izzy, was playing striker as well, and Christian just happened to score a goal, and of course, like, he wanted to apologize, you know what I mean? But it was so funny because as soon as he scores, he gets pushed from behind, and it's Izzy, and we're sitting there dying laughing. I'm like, I will never forget that. And Christian just laughed about it, and the kids laughed about it afterwards. But yeah, she is a competitor. She's got that fire, spirit. So we've done that, right? We've been that.
We owned it.
We owned it. One of my worst moments ever in sports, whether it be coaching, because both of us have coached and we both played, and have kids that have played their most of their lives. There was a moment when Christian was playing youth soccer, and it was a club ball right before he started playing like CSA. This was when he was playing Carolina Rush, and he was playing on a good team. They were undefeated at the time. They were playing the only other undefeated team in the area, and there was a ref there that was very bad.
Right.
He was bad. He was bad. And he said in one game, like 2 weeks before we had him as a head ref, boss, 2 weeks before you're not the
boss. Sorry. Go ahead.
And he said my version of offsides might differ from the rules.
That's the dumbest.
He said that in the middle. Okay. Right.
That's a referee pulling that power card.
Yes.
I hate that. Burns me up.
So fast forward 2 weeks later, it's a very, very tight game. Two undefeated teams, 0-0 at the moment.
Right.
Christian playing striker. He drives. He gets inside the 18, tripped from behind.
No call.
No call. Dude, I mean, Christian lands, rolls,
the whole thing.
I mean? Like nothing. They said their feet got tangled up. I was
Which is a foul.
It's a foul. From behind, he hit him. It's a foul.
What were you going to say just now?
Nothing. Nothing. I didn't know. I wasn't going to say. I wasn't going to say anything. I was not going to say.
I'm just so ready for it.
I know. I'm trying to craft my words because I got to remember this guy.
So I want to ask this question. So after that happened, I'm envisioning it.
Yeah.
So how loud were you? And did you sprint down?
We were in Clover. And they
Shout
heard
out to Clover. Lake Wiley, what's up?
And they heard me in Charlotte.
They did?
Yeah. Everybody yelled. It wasn't just me. All the parents were like, "Oh, come on." You know what I mean? And of course, collectively. And I said, "Hey, man, that was a freaking foul." Right. I kept it clean.
Right.
I was like, it's a tight game. It's in the second half. Or right at the close to the end of the first half.
That's a big moment.
It's a big moment. That could have been a PK. He took all the PKs.
Made a mistake, fouled him. He's in the box.
That's right. That's a PK, and he was money PKs. He never missed one.
Oh, he's fired. No,
he was pretty good at doing that.
And then he stopped playing soccer and he's playing football. Fuck.
That's right. He's playing football.
I love you, Christian, but God, I was so upset.
I know. And he's still a little bummed that he quit. But anyways, and the guy was like, "Hey, that's enough." That's enough. He was like, "One more and you'll be watching the game from the parking lot." And I said, "I'll meet you there." And that was not the right thing to say.
Unfortunately, everybody comes from different walks of life, right? But when you get in defense mode and you get into a primal kind of place and you're protecting your kid, and then when you got a man telling you
we already had that exchange of offsides
and threatening you and
2 weeks before. Yep.
But
so hold on. I got to finish it.
Okay.
If I'm gonna own it, I'm gonna own the whole story.
Got it.
So this was a little bit funny, but so I was immediately embarrassed because he was like, "All right, you're out of here
right away,"
and I was like, "Fudge,
fiddlesticks."
Oh man.
Yeah.
Good golly. And so I all the parents are like, hey, don't worry. You know what I'm saying? Like you know, whatever. Yeah. We understand.
I love those kind of parents that are on your side. They're on your team.
And shout out to CSA Matthews King because we had a good tight knit group. It's kind of funny because well, hold on. No, that was back with Carolina Rush. Never mind. Still shout out to CSA Matthews King.
Absolutely.
Two years later, he was playing for them, and 4 kids on that team are playing high school football right now. 3 are kicking. So that's pretty cool. So a lot of talent in that team. So all the parents were like, cool, whatever. So I start walking to the parking lot. I feel defeated. I feel like an idiot. I feel like I embarrassed my son. I felt bad for him,
natural,
because he was young at the time, and he was playing up. He was like 9 playing U11, and
right.
But I take like 10 steps, and then I look to my side, and Christian's right beside me.
He left.
He's walking with me, and I said,
goosebumps.
I said, Christian, I was like, hey, buddy, Dad made a mistake.
Dad
messed up. I was like, you still got to go back and play the game. I was like, they need you. And he was like, Dad, if they kicked you out, they kicked me out.
That kid is.
I was like, man,
that's real.
He's a real one. And but at the same time, we ended up getting him back into the game. They ended up winning 2-1. They went on to stay undefeated, win the championship. Gotcha. But anyways, that's me. That's my come clean story to the world, and that was the worst moment that I've ever had in youth sports for me. I was a sideline terrorist,
dude. I got kicked out of a few games, right? And I coached for a very long time, and I know the weird part about it is that I'll have meetings, and this is high level soccer. This and no diss to recreational play or whatever, but I'll have meetings with the parents before the season. I'm saying, hey, this is what to expect. This is what's going on. This is what we're going to be working on. These are the challenges we have. This is the, processes we're going to try to execute, etc. And then I just want you to know that from the sidelines, I don't want you yelling at the referee, please. And then just all the who's and ha's and please don't coach from the sideline. Okay?
And you talk about that at the beginning of the season.
Every time. And And then during the season, when you have some parents over there that habitually do that, you have conversations with them, grown-up conversations. You're not talking down to them.
Yeah.
And 9 out of 10 times they're like, man, I'm sorry, I just get so pumped up for my kid, and then all these other kids, I love this team, and right. So they're good in here, but what's coming out is the wrong thing. And then I will leave a game in my coaching gear and go watch my daughters play or my son play. And it just takes that one, bonehead moment where you look at a referee and like, are you blind, man?
Yeah.
And I've got my gear on, right?
So you're a target, right? You're wearing the company logo.
Yeah. So but I should know better, right?
Yeah.
And then so the one thing I know about it, because I've gotten kicked out a few times, is once you get there with the ref, he's on you for the rest of the time. The referee will, big pause. The referee will tell the linesman, hey, watch that guy.
Yeah,
right?
So now you are automatically guilty until proven innocent.
Right. So, so I'm contradicting and actually being a hypocrite going on the sideline and yelling. And I've had a couple coaches that I really respect and like. Stefano is somebody that has rose up in that club, started with the youngins, and he was young, and now he's grown up to be one of the directors there, and he is a phenomenal coach. He's brilliant.
Okay.
Came up under Sean Carlisle, just has that real kind of, the game IQ is there. And I'm on the sideline, and I said something about a foul.
Okay.
And he yells across the field. He said, Jimmy, it wasn't a foul. Whatever, right? It was a clean tackle. And I was embarrassed. And not mad.
Yeah.
And I was embarrassed, and I shut up.
I was about to say, were you able to shut that down?
Yeah, I think for the best part of after that, I stopped.
Yeah.
The only time I would ever get really worked up on the sideline is if a parent was talking to one of my kids. Now, that's what I want to dive into real quick, okay, about this topic.
Okay.
Youth sports, especially when you're in a high level or like basketball as AAU and you have travel ball and you have all these things, right? Parents spend a sick amount of money.
It's ridiculous.
And a crazy amount of time and travel and then expenses when you travel. Every time that you go out of town,
that's right,
it's going to cost $200 or $300 with gas, with food, with this, and then don't mention
just incidentals, not even including hotels.
Don't mention when you have the hotels.
Yeah.
All right. So one of the things that I think is just horrible for the player. You've got parents that have this psycho mentality that if they complain to the coaches all the time and they yell and they voice everything and they blah, 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 that's going to do something good for their kid. What you're doing is putting a target on your family name. So then when these thousands of kids or hundreds of kids that are trying to get placed on the right teams, they're going through it and saying, hey, that Billy is a great player.
Yeah.
He's fit, right? He's up for it.
Yeah, he can get to that next level.
But his mom is a nightmare. We're not putting him on the top team. And I don't know if that's exactly what they say. I'm speaking for...
Okay, I was about to say, are you talking about behind-the-scenes conversations that you've been a part of and you know that to be a fact that actually happens?
I've been a part of conversations where coaches that I coached this kid last year and you have this group next year. And, hey, man, how's the player? How's da-da-da-da-da? And then you go, great, but Billy's mom's a nightmare. Oh, God, like what? Like screaming, yelling, email after email, doesn't follow the processes of waiting 24 or 48 hours, whatever it is after the game.
Which is pretty standard in all most youth sports.
You know, you got to let everything simmer down, and then you have to have an adult conversation. There is not one part of me that doesn't feel like that the parents are wrong all the time. I think that they're right. I think there's a moment that happened, and they're right, and they have the right to be upset.
Yeah.
But how they handle it,
that's the problem.
Is the thing, right?
Yeah.
And then you go and do all this complaining and defaming the name or the club or the coach.
Yeah.
And then it gets circulated back around to them. That's not good for your kid.
Yeah.
That's not good for your kid.
But so what are you supposed to do then? I mean, what's the advice that you're giving everybody out there listening? And a lot of people who are listening are our age and they have kids and they're playing youth sports. How do you go about when your kid plays on a team with a poor coach?
If the process is 24 hours or 48 hours, it's there for a good reason.
Follow it?
Yeah. You're heated. The battle's there. You want to walk up, right?
Yeah.
And I've done that too. I've done that before. I broke that. I'm so guilty. But you wait, and then when you have the conversation with them, you want to preface with them and say, listen, I know you're upset about some things, and you want to have a conversation. I just want you to understand that I'm here for you. I want to listen.
Yeah.
But I don't want you to yell at me, and I don't want you to cuss at me. Let's have a conversation and see what we could do. Do that.
Yeah.
Instead of
take away the animosity up front.
Because there is bad coaches.
Yeah.
It's a fact. There are bad players. There are bad parents. There are bad referees.
Yeah.
Right? All that stuff exists. So if a coach is that bad, if the coach is not really training your kid like the way you think he should or she should, or they are negligent to your kid's needs in the sense of what they need to do to grow with all that money you're spending, then if you can't get it through with the meeting you have with the coach, then reach out to the guy above him, the director, and just be smart about it. You don't have to call and say this guy's an idiot, and you start complaining and sounding like a child. Whoever's listening to you is probably going to be like, "Oh yeah, man, sorry to hear that. Okay, gotcha. I'll have a chat with him." And then when you walk out of the room, it's like, fucking
that person's a problem.
Nightmare. Right? Yeah. So be humble about it and just understand that there's an effect that happens negatively for your kid. Now, I want to segue from that. Are you cool with that?
Go ahead. Let's go.
The parents on the sidelines that are in this for themselves and not for their kid, they are absolutely destroying the chance for their kids to ever move up independently. What the parents are doing that I've witnessed before, they're on the sideline and a parent says something, this is the shot the bigger deer, caught the bigger fish. a parent on the sideline was like, oh, yeah, I remember having a conversation about their kid playing for whatever team they played for last year. And maybe this team was a team above whatever this respective team was. And then the mom is like, oh, yeah, my daughter played on the ECNL team and that's like a national ranking team and all this kind of stuff. Yeah. And while she's turned away, looking at whoever was not really even talking to her, all these other parents are like listening and kind of like, you want to be petty and be like, oh, why is she not playing for that team now?
Yeah. Why is she here? Yeah.
And more importantly, why aren't you watching her play?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
Because that's one thing from the sideline terrorists that I would love to tell y'all, right? And it'd be phenomenal if y'all ever listen to this. Stop boasting about all the success that your kids had on all these clubs, and he made it to here, and he's on that, and they're reckoning, and it's almost like, are you saying that so that the parent beside you can, number one, be like, oh, wow, great job, mom.
Yeah.
Okay? Or maybe that kid's mom that you're talking to has been struggling trying to make it up the ranks. And a year before this, she was 2 teams below where she's at now. And she doesn't want to sit here and hear your, glory stories about this bullshit. She's trying to watch the game.
All right, okay.
Why do you have to? Are you trying to make me feel bad? Or I've heard this. I'll end it with this. Yeah. Oh, your kid played for the blue team, which usually it's boom, 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 blue team. I mean, it's down there, right?
Yeah.
And these are good kids. These are kids that are trying to develop and get better at what they do, right? And my kid worked her butt off to get here, right? And it wasn't for me, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Her work ethic.
And the lady said, yeah, we just, my kids never played for a blue team. And the mom looked like that and kind of like shook her head a little bit and just turned her head. And all the other parents were just sitting there like, because you want to like say, hey, ma'am, this is why nobody talks to you on the sideline. Okay?
Yeah. But all right, so this goes rough. All right, this goes to all right, let's kind of fast forward, right? These kids in youth sports. If we are going to take the focus off the kids for ourselves, if we are going to be a terrorist and embarrass them, maybe stunt their growth, maybe stunt their advancement potential.
Right.
If we're going to do all of those types of things that end up hurting the growth of a kid,
right?
What are they going to do when they get out into the real world where you're not around anymore?
Yeah.
And I got news for you. You're not going to like everybody that is your boss.
No.
You're not going to like everybody you work with.
Right.
And you're damn sure not going to have this perfect life where everything goes right.
Right.
You have to face adversity.
Right.
Right. So it's funny. So yeah, Christian, I'll go back to Christian for just a second. With him switching from soccer to football, this was a different world. This is high school football.
What a transition too. But I'm proud of him for doing that. That's a
Yeah, I mean, it's a big step to say, because he played high school soccer, he played middle school soccer and high school soccer, and he was like, you know what, I want to play football. That's huge.
And playing football, being a kicker, that's an isolated. That's a. You know what, man? If you make the field goal, great. Pat on the back.
Maybe a few claps and stuff like that. But if you miss something,
that amount of anxiety it's a big place to go. It's a really, really tough place to go, and you got to have very strong mental, a strong mental attitude. You got to be able to overcome the adversity and the problems that come with, the challenges and the ills of the game. Yeah, man. I kicked 46 out of 48, 40-plus yard field goals at this camp. I'm really killing it in my training and blah, blah, all this kind of stuff. And then you go and play a game, and there's 4 seconds left, and it's a 29-yard field goal, and it's raining, and it's freaking windy, and you got all these freaking barbarians trying to kill you while you're hitting the ball. Yeah. Pause. And then you hit this, and you're looking up, and the wind's taking it, and it hits the goalpost or the field goal or whatever. It's like detrimental to that kid's that mentality. And then you got these jerk offs in the crowd like, come on, and then maybe in the background saying, well, if he could have hit that. You know what? If he could have hit that, it's raining, it's 30-mile-per-hour wind. Maybe the hold wasn't that great. Pause. You know,
it is high school football, so you're talking about a snap, a hold, and the kick. Hopefully, it doesn't get blocked because you're trying to block the defenders who are all coming at you, right?
Pause.
And we need to have a pause counter on this episode. But all that stuff has to go perfectly, and it doesn't go well all the time.
No.
So one of the things about what we've seen, right? Let's say youth soccer, maximum 50 people at the game watching.
Right. Yeah.
High school football, you're talking about a couple thousand.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This is big time.
Yeah.
You got the kids, all the student body there. They're screaming. You got all the parents.
A lot of school pride.
A lot of cheerleaders, the visiting, everything. Most of the games all the games are being recorded. Most of the games are on TV.
Right.
Or some kind of like closed circuit. And so what do you do? Let's just say hypothetically.
Okay.
Let's say hypothetically, one of the coaches' wives are in the stands.
Okay.
Trashing some of the kids on the team to where multiple family members hear this. How do you handle a situation like that?
Man, you immediately, I think, and maybe this sounds like some snitching type of mentality, right? She needs to be held accountable. It's funny you said that. When you look at movies and you watch whatever, and you've got the coach and you get the wife that's just got his back, and she's so determined to have his back. She knows he has a hard job, man. Being a football coach or any high school or college coach, any coach.
Yeah.
But in that, for whatever reason, high school it's a tough deal. It's a lot of pressure.
Yes, it
Got
is.
a lot of people pointing fingers at you and judging all that stuff. If your wife is out there acting like a fool, she needs to be reprimanded. And it needs to be documented. Somebody needs to send an email and say, just so you know, X, Y, and Z is happening and the coach needs to know about it. The coach should ultimately handle the situation, but it's a no-win situation for any of the parents in the crowd. They're not like, man, I want to waste my time after the game at 10:30 after we drove an hour and a half to get to this game to email that your wife is trashing
which goes back to the situation of, if you say something, are you not putting your kids' playing time in jeopardy?
Bro,
you know what I'm saying? There's we
talked about that. We talked about that. The more you complain and the more you and the more you're out there talking to the coaches and then circumventing the coach and going to the director of coaching and all this BS. Mm-hmm. A lot of politics exist in these clubs.
All
right.
100%.
So hey, look, it's a business, right? And it's a well-run business. It's a business, but hey, we really want your kid Christian Bridwell to come over here and play for this team. We really think he's got what it takes, and all this stuff, and and we're gonna give him the world. And then he comes over and he gets placed on this team, and somehow, some way, the dad doesn't really mesh well with the coach, and he's running his mouth, and he's saying all this shit, and that's where the coaches are talking like, man, that's one thing that's unfortunate about this game. There are hundreds and hundreds of kids that want to make the next team. They want to make the next level.
Yeah.
My mentality in sports, my mentality in doing music, my mentality at work, I don't want to stay where I am. I want to execute, do the best I can, then I want to go that way.
Master the craft and move on.
So how am I going to be able to do that if my mom is acting like a terrorist on the sideline?
Yeah, right? and so we have worked very, very hard to make sure that our kids have a better life than we did.
Yeah.
We've provided for them, and we've given them some better options and better opportunities, better guidance, better leadership.
Right.
And
but I'm not saying anything against you for what you're saying there, but I'm very, very thankful for my parents and what they did for me.
Yeah,
you know
well, I get that. I'm not saying they didn't do a good job. What I'm saying is you want
to put them in a better spot than you grew up in.
Exactly. It's all about trying to make them better, and that they can make their kids better. Right. Continuing this lineage.
Right.
So one of the things that Christian and I talked about was that he has not had to want for a lot. he's not had to necessarily grow up with a chip on his shoulder and stress about a lot of different things, and that's just the way it is. But one of the things that's good about some of the situations that he's faced being a high school kicker is he's had some highs and he's had some lows. Right. And now he's starting to develop overcoming obstacles, overcoming adversity. Right. Now he's starting to build and having some more fuel in the tank to kind of get to that next level. And one of the things that I've decided not to do is I'm not going to be that sideline terrorist. I'm not going to bash the coach. I'm not going to, to do all those things. I'm not going to send the emails. We're going to take every opportunity to learn from it. And then I'm trying, and it's almost like a battle inside me because you want to go, you want to just rip the coach up. But
like pushing your kids, there's a couple different ways of pushing your kids toward greatness, right? And we're talking about youth sports. So there's things that are involved in the parenting process where, hey, I think that you should probably run a little bit on your off days, right? Just to stay fit. I don't know if 2 days a week is enough to get you where you're going, okay?
Yeah, don't do the minimum.
I know that you got school and you got your life and all that kind of stuff. I'm just saying that if you want to make it to the next level, that's what you got to do, right? Yeah. Versus, right? That drill sergeant ass parent that was never in the Army, never played soccer, is only got this selfish intention to gain all the notoriety and success from what your kid's doing and what your kid's accomplishing. And the best thing ever when one of your kids does something phenomenal is to address it to them and say, wow, that was great. Well done, right? Yeah. And then when you have a conversation and Jason goes, yeah, man, Christian, just mollywop this dude, put the ball in the back of the net. It was sick. Right? Man, great, man. Tell him I said great job. Don't go, well, my kid, like that. He ran and jumped over 3 people and landed on his tippy toes, and he actually did a bicycle kick, right? On top of the referee's head. Like, shut up. Let push your kids in a positive way. Don't sit there and scream at them on the sideline because they made a bad pass. Don't scream at them on the sideline because they missed a shot. That is a pet peeve of mine. Like, my kid is already stressed the hell out enough to know that I missed a shot from inside the 18. Yeah. I feel like shit.
Yeah, they know what they do.
My teammates, especially the older you get, my teammates are looking at me like, dude, what the hell? Yeah. And then you got your dumbass dad and mom like, whoa, really? Come on. That doesn't help. All that does is make them not want you to come to the game. And I've been that guy. Jacob told me in the car one time when I'm trying to be like, hey, buddy, you played a great game. He was, Dad, I just want you to know, man, I hate it when you say, come on, Jacob. Mom, I hate it when you do that. And I'm like, what do you mean? Yeah. And you're
talking about during the game?
During the game.
Yeah.
And apparently it's something that I do. Come on, Jacob.
Yeah.
It sucks. It doesn't help
because he's smart enough to know that he made a bad play, or that he didn't get to a ball quick enough, or something like that. Yeah, I get it. I get it, and I've been guilty of that in some ways. But in Christian, I had that conversation. It's like, look, at the end of the day, I care if you win or lose because I want you to be successful. I want the team to be successful. Right. But at the end of the day, if you gave everything you had, if you left it all out on the field, then I'm proud of you, regardless of what happens.
Not to be cliche with what you're saying, but that's exactly right. Dude, if they walk off the field and they are drenched in sweat and they look like they've gotten the crap beat out of them, you know that they played hard. Yeah. Right? There's nothing worse than when you're coaching a team and you're just wanting them to put it all in. It's hard. Kill it, right? And then why does this happen? And then after the game, they're all like standing there talking for a minute, and then they're running around and they have all this energy, and it's like kind of like, really?
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Yeah.
One of the things that, besides, the yelling at the referees, right? Yeah. Screaming at the referees, and it doesn't help you. It doesn't help your team. Because if a referee is a bad referee and he's, my version of and yours is different. When you know that to be stupid. Yeah. But you know what?
That's difficult.
You know what the reality is?
Yeah.
He's got the whistle.
That's right.
How many times have you been in a game and the referee was just garbage juice, right? And he got kicked out of the game, or somebody like replaced him. Never, not once.
No,
not once.
Yeah, not ever.
It's never going to happen.
No.
And then when you're talking to him, and hey man, all I'm saying is bop bop bop, or whatever, and they're, well, sir, you can leave, right? One of my favorite things I found the other day was from a team I coached years ago. This referee was like a animated freaking dude. He was hilarious, right there.
Okay.
But he also was just such a prick, right? He thought,
Yeah.
And he said something to me, and I said, "Listen, I'm just saying that let them play the game. This is a tough game. They should be able to get hit and it be legal, because it is, right?" And he said something to me again. I said, "Listen, pal, I'm just saying." And he runs up to me in this really kind of robotic way and stops in front of me, and he was like, "I am not a pal. I am a sir." And then, no, I called him buddy.
Pronoun?
I called him buddy.
Oh.
He said, "I'm not a buddy. I'm a sir." And then he turned around and ran off, and I was like, and all the parents were laughing on the other side of the field. Well, I was getting rid of a bunch of, old clothes and kind of just spring cleaning, and I found the jersey they bought me, and they put that on the back.
Sir,
I'm not your buddy. I'm not a buddy.
I'm not your buddy. Yeah.
So it was pretty cool, but
that's pretty funny.
I think, and I want to ask you, a few things, but I think more than anything else, do you think it's possible for a kid to really excel in whatever respective youth sports they're playing, really, really excel if their parents are absolutely quiet on the sideline, if they don't say anything at all? Is that better than these sideline terrorists? Is it more?
That's a good question. Is that the end of it?
Yeah.
Just that really? Man, I think that there's different dynamics in relationships across the board. I mean, there are going to be husbands and wives who have animated conversations, but at the end of the day, they're cool. Mm-hmm. And there's some who don't argue at all. They're clear, calm, concise. Everything's nice and neat. Everything's cool, and it works. I think one of the most difficult things for me being a parent is to realize that my kid is not 100% like me.
Right.
And that, it's just like speaking a love language to anybody, a friend, your family member, your love, your spouse, your significant other. And it took a few times of Christians saying, "Dad, like when you get animated and passionate, like I shut down."
Wow. Good information.
And it's like,
right?
It's like, how did you get so freaking mature?
Right.
What I mean? And why do I not feel mature? So I think that you have to learn how your child accepts critiques, accepts criticism, accepts praise.
Right.
And you have to find that way to motivate them. And I think that's difficult. Why is it so difficult for parents? Like, you're a coach. I've coached AAU, I've coached club ball. You've coached on some high levels in soccer, girls. You've coached guys. Why is it that we will do everything we can to find out how to reach number 9 or how to reach number 7, but when it comes to our own kid, it's almost like we got blinders on.
Right. Well, man,
that was a big lesson to learn.
It's tough, man, and it's almost segueing off of that with coaching your own kids, right? When they're actually on your team and you coach them. Yeah. Jacob had this amazing experience with me stepping in and helping coach a team that they had a coach that never showed up, and he was anyway.
Yeah,
right?
Okay, gotcha.
So I coached him at a tournament. It was actually down in Greenville where Haven Bruce was.
Okay.
And him and I got to hang out. Yeah. Oh yeah, man, I love that dude. And we won the tournament, right? Okay. And the parents were phenomenal. They were like, "We want you to be the coach." And these little youngsters, man, they were 9 or 10. But they were just ping, ping, ping. I gave them the most simple instructions, very minimal, and they executed it as to the best of their ability. And at halftime, you fix some things, you make some adjustments or whatever, and you make them understand what's right, what's wrong. And so it was awesome. And the ride home was awesome. And Jacob was bragging on it. And it was right. Well, then I got put into another situation and went, coached, and we ended up in the finals or in the whatever tournament.
It was the same year?
Same year, same team. I, for some reason, had this thing in my head where I was like, man, I don't want to overplay Jacob or not play other kids or not. And I made a huge mistake, and I took him out like twice in a row or 3 times in a row. Like, I barely played him in the second half, but I didn't know that I was not managing the game good because I was so worried about him and worried about maybe parents thinking that I'm putting him, first, which I would always do because he's my son and he was a hell of a player. Yeah. And he cried and got so mad at me and didn't even want to drive home with me. I think he drove home with his mom. It was gut-wrenching.
He took it as a punishment?
Ah, man, he just thought I just let him down so bad. And this is not me throwing digs at my son. I mean, this is my guy.
I mean, that was his natural reaction.
Yeah,
I mean, he's young. He does,
Yeah, he's like, why are you taking me out? Anyway, so that's another part of it, You don't want to coach your kids. I don't want to coach my kids on the real team. I've coached my daughters too, and it was fun. We had a good time, but there was a lot of moments where it sucked. Yeah. So why do I have that feeling? But then at their game, I'm like, hey, pass the ball. He's slipping in. Hey, ball, pass the ball. Shoot the ball. Yeah. I'm doing everything I'm telling these terrorists not to do. Right. And I think that just my end part of this deal, right? Is it possible for people to change who they are, how they act, how they react, or whatever on the sideline for their kids? Sure. Is it more likely that they're not gonna? Probably. That's what I think. Yeah, I changed a little bit, but I still had my moments. I still had Ashley would freaking elbow me and stop it, right? And it takes a lot of discipline to do that, and I don't think a lot of people have that, man. I don't. I think that once you have that thing, it's like a weird, almost addictive thing. Like, I am going to yell today when I go to this game, and, and be a spectacle.
All right, so let me add on to that just for a second. I think this goes back to our whole podcast. Good. Yeah, it is. It really is good. The whole time we've been doing these podcasts, right? Now we're season 2, episode 3, right?
Come on.
We've talked about health. We've talked about constant evolution.
Right.
You are going to be a passionate guy. You are going to get animated.
Right.
That's going to be you. That's you. That's you today, tomorrow, my birthday, your birthday. That's who you are. I'm the same way. I'm very competitive. I'm very passionate when it comes to my family. Right. Very passionate when it comes to myself and my business ventures. I want to be great. I want to do great things.
Right.
But we have to look at ourselves and say, is this action going to help that child?
Right.
Is this action going to make a difference?
Right.
And you have to do that self-evaluation and change your ways or restrain yourself. Whatever you got to do. Walk away, chew gum, yell into your hoodie, whatever you need to do.
Right.
But you have to be aware of what you're doing.
If it's constantly affecting your kid and your kid continuously tells you there's a problem, don't be the egomaniac mom and dad and, you don't know what you're talking about, and have this defense mechanism up. Take that guard down and
ownership.
In sports, in business, you want to know what's wrong? Ask the people. Hey man, what's going on? What do you think's wrong with the team out here? What do you think we need to fix? Well, I think, and you're talking to kids.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we need to pass the ball better. We need to learn how to move off when we don't have the ball, we need to understand how to connect and how to, separate when we need to, and all this, right? Move as a group, all these things. And you're like, okay, great. And then you ask parent, and again, this is the sideline terrorist parents thing, so we are calling out these kind of people. You ask a parent, and they're like, I don't know, I don't understand why Billy always gets so much playing time. I mean, everybody knows that he's not one of the better players. And this is a mom talking to a coach about another person's kid, and all they're doing is just bringing them down.
Trashing them.
And what do you think that the coach is going to do? You're right, Miss Bailey. You know what? You're always right every time you come up here.
I'm just going to call you before the games and let you coach this team.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. And I know it's difficult for you, for your kid, because your kid works so hard and practices 3 times a week and goes to school and all this stuff and just absolutely works himself, into complete exhaustion. But I know it's really hard on you, man. And but can I call you? Can I text you? Right?
Yeah. So all right.
Never.
All right. So I want to 2 quick points with Christian kicking. Right in high school, kicks, punts, kickoffs, field goals, that kind of stuff.
Come on.
I tell him, regardless, if he makes a bad kick. Luckily, he didn't make a lot of bad kicks this year. He did pretty well. You know, he's top 3 in the state in kickoff yards. You know,
top 3 in the state. Christian Bridwell.
You know,
Google it.
That's right. And
for real,
he's done well in camps, and he's improving, he's progressing. But I told him, hey man, just remember, you know, this is us at home after the emotions have gone. You know, just remember, out of everybody on that field, everybody in the stadium, everybody in the parking lot, there's 1% who can do what you do.
Right. Very good point.
A lot of people out there are fast.
Yeah.
A lot of people out there can run a ball. A lot of people out there can catch a ball. There's probably 15, 20 kids out there and maybe some parents in the stands who can throw the ball well.
Right.
But not any of them
can
can kick under pressure or punt or kick off under pressure like you do.
Well,
and the second thing is this is kind of a warning for everybody listening. If you're a parent who hears this and say, "Oh, that's not me," could be, maybe not. Right? There's a lot of good parents out there. There's a lot of supportive parents. Some of them are amazing people.
I was blessed to be around so many awesome parents growing up in youth sports with my kids. It was so awesome.
There's some of us who still communicate and still share stories and pictures about our kids in high school now playing sports.
What's up, Trey? I saw Trey at DD Peckers the other day. What's up, Daddy? Huh? Pause. Go ahead.
I'm not even going to break down that sentence. Not even going to break down that sound effect. But here, let me give a fair warning to everybody right there, right now, who has a kid who's in youth sports, maybe middle school or under. If you don't get yourself in check with how you are in relations to your kids and their sports and everything that revolves around that,
right,
you're going to have serious problems when they get into high school,
right,
and start playing high school sports. Because let me tell you this. If we're talking about coaches can dictate and control playing time, and if you're an ass, they could hurt your kid by their playing time. Guess what that affects? Their college opportunities.
Right.
There's scholarships out there, especially if they play football.
Yeah.
There is a ton of scholarships out there. 4 different divisions.
Well, not even just the scholarships. You know what else you're affecting? Their confidence.
Yeah. Well, true.
We said it earlier when we were talking. What happens when that kid moves out to go to college? What happens when real life situations happen, but they could never get a word in edgewise because you wouldn't shut up? And all you did was just try to fight the battle. There's parts of life where you have to fight the battle for your kid because it's your duty. But there's other times where you caused it. And you should shut up.
You made their problem.
Yeah, you should not talk anymore. Maybe at some point when, your kid's in the car and they won't even look at you on the way home and your pride is through the sunroof in your car because you're such a freaking, I'm sorry, I was going to say some bad things, but I'm trying to learn. I'm getting better, right?
There you go. Baby steps. Fuck you.
Your kid won't even look at you. And you look past it, you think, but now the kid's being a freaking sourpuss or being a wimp. Well, no, man, you just broke that kid's confidence to the point where they don't even want to look at their own parent, right? Yeah. Man, let me tell you something.
Yeah,
one of the best things on the planet when I played soccer was when my mom was on the sideline, which was every game, running, doing whatever, playing as hard as I could, scoring a goal, getting fouled like crazy by all this. I would look over at my mom and we had certain signals and she would do some deal like that, which was cut the shit. Stop it.
Yeah.
You're yelling at the ref, you're acting like a psycho on the field.
Yeah.
Right?
Just relax.
Or that feeling when you look over and see your dad and you do something and he's like, "Hey, boy," it screams out. It gives you that jolt of like, wow. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Look, I'm really excited that we had this conversation, and I want to hear a parting shot from you, right? But what I do want to say on here is that being a parent of a child that is a successful athlete, meaning that they have gone through leaps and bounds and made the higher teams and higher levels, you should be proud of that.
Absolutely.
But you shouldn't own it like you did it.
No.
Let them have their flowers. Let them have their moments. Let them enjoy the fact that they worked their butts off and made the top team, or they're a freshman and made the freaking varsity team. Let them have that.
That's right. Let them have the glory. And listen, even if you did pay for the camps and you paid for the private coaching, or you paid for the lessons,
all love.
Maybe you did all of that stuff. It's still, at the end of the day, their glory.
It's up to the
because
kid.
They have to go out there and perform on the field. You know what I mean? It's not you in the stands. It's them.
Right?
Let them grow from that, and let them experience those frustrations and maybe failures.
Yeah.
Because they have to grow from that, just like we do. We all do. We have to come back. You get punched in the face, you get knocked down, you get back up.
Fall down 8 times.
You get back up 9.
Come on. All right.
Just keep fighting.
What's your partner shot about?
So, all right, a little bit of a segue, but I think it revolves a little bit around sports as well. There's a couple of instances and situations that have happened here recently with some people that I've had discussions with, and I wanted to kind of break down some stuff when it comes to the workplace. So I know we're switching gears here.
That's fine.
But
But
I wanted to talk about workplace friendships, and I'll tread lightly. But I think that so many people think that a workplace friendships are a true vital part of life. In some ways they are, right?
You could meet some of your best friends.
You could meet some of your best friends. I remember, it's funny, like we talk about Jeff Maddox and Blue Diamond Pest Control, who is sponsoring our podcast.
What up, Jeff?
Jeff and I, his son DJ and Christian, when Christian's first ever soccer team, right? Steel Creek Athletic Association. Jeff and I met first practice, and Jeff is a redhead Irish Chicago native.
Yikes.
You know what I mean? Scrappy. You know what I mean? Big 49ers fan. So I know he's cheering for the 49ers to hit the Super Bowl and win another one. We met the first practice that night, and he, we were kind of like, okay, all right, you seem all right. You seem all right. Okay, all right, let's talk. Friends the whole season. We've been friends ever since. That was cool, freaking 9 years ago. But anyway, so some of these relationships that you're going to meet with parents, coaching and playing, kids playing sports, same thing with work. But I want you guys to understand some clear things here. One, if you leave a company right now, it doesn't matter what you did at that former company. It doesn't matter if you were the person everybody called to get the answers to all the questions. When you leave that company, 90% of the people who you thought were friends at that company, you'll never hear from again.
Never talk to them
You'll
again.
never talk to them again. Facts. Out of that last 10%, 5% might reach out. Oh man, I heard you left, or I heard you got fired, whatever it may be. And you might talk to them one time. Out of that last 5%, 4% of that, you might talk to a couple of times. You might reach out here and there. You send a Merry Christmas or something like that. But at the end of the day, 1% of that whole network and friend group that you thought were so important at that former job, they'll stick with you and you'll stick with them. And those will be the ones. So I want you to keep that in perspective. And hold on, I got 2 more things here.
2 more pages?
No, it's not 2 more pages.
It's like 9 paragraphs.
Hey, the second thing is, just remember all the effort that you're putting in at that company. When you leave the next day, you're replaced. Period. The next day, somebody else is in that position and the company is going to move on. So when we're talking about work in general, be conscious of the after hours and the killing yourself and the stressing yourself for a certain position, for a certain company. Keep the work-life balance. Do everything you can for your position. I'm not telling you to slack off. I'm not telling you to punch a clock and not care. Take pride in your work. Take pride in the company that you work for. That's your company. Right. Wave the flag. That's you're wearing the jersey.
Right.
You know what I mean? So take care of everybody.
It's important.
But let me try to spin it up a little bit more. At the end of the day, the most important things that we'll ever have in life when it comes to sports or when it comes to work is the relationships. You are not judged as a leader by your numbers. At the end of the day, you are judged as a leader by who you bring up under you and their numbers.
Right.
So each one reach one, each one teach one.
Right.
Find somebody that you can give your knowledge to, give all the things that you know and teach them. The elder should serve the younger, a Killer Priest lyric.
Right.
You know what I mean? And in management, simplify it, take care of your team in every aspect possible, and they'll take care of you. And I shout out, I love my team in Charlotte at my company. It's always been team first. It's always been about us pulling in the right direction, everybody on board, everybody helping each other, and we win and lose together, and I wouldn't have it any other way. Man,
you're building culture, brother. And that's the thing about the workplace, and that's what's so important about it is the culture, right? And some people lose sight of that, you know, and some people, luckily, they find it again. And I'm going to tell you, man, the one point you made, and this is no disrespect for if you get fired or you leave, the show goes on.
It does.
It does.
It moves on, regardless of how good or not good you were.
It goes on.
That's
and
right.
I had a dude I worked with, a guy that you're talking about, just same situation. I probably won't talk to him a whole bunch. He sent me a very heartfelt text after the departure from the last job, and it had a lot of that. The show must go on. That not saying him. He's more talking about me. He wasn't talking about that place. So that was really cool. And always understand that you know, people process culture. If you don't have the culture and you don't have the people and you're not installing the processes, you're not gonna get to where you need to get to and be a successful guy. And the last thing I'll say is I want to jump.
Yeah.
Bring up your replacement. People are so afraid to do that, and they shouldn't be.
Yes. That's
Train,
right. Yes.
Teach, and develop your replacement.
Cultivate.
Because that shows signs of immaculate leadership. That shows signs of trust in procedures and processes. And that shows that you turned this person that was under you into someone who could successfully take the seat that you were sitting in and doing well for your promotion, for you to go up to the next spot. But man,
absolutely.
Hey man, great podcast, dude. Great conversations. I know we've been talking about this sideline crap for a while.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that both of us were brave enough, and I'm not trying to get a pat on the back here, guys. Cats and kittens.
Yes, you are. Let's be serious.
But for us to be able to call ourselves out, because I've been on the sideline with you and you've been on the sideline with me.
Yeah.
And it would be obnoxious for us to do this podcast and not say that we were sideline terrorists.
Hey man, good,
right?
The bad, the ugly. We're like the buffalo. We run to the storm, run through the storm. We take ownership of all this stuff, and it's part of the process, man. But we've gotten so much better from those past stuff. So props to us.
There we go, man. All right. Well, look, I'm good. Are you good?
I'm good. Hey, be sure to like, subscribe, share on social media. We're out there: Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all that good stuff. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. We truly appreciate all your love and support.
Absolutely.
The messages. Send us some messages and tell us your sideline story. I mean, bring it on in for the real thing.
Yeah,
we'll be your therapist.
Yeah.
Give us the comments of how you were a sideline terrorist. Man, I'd love to hear some stories. Get it out there. Let's put it behind us and be better people tomorrow.
Got it. Lots of love. Lots of love.
It.
Up
Peace
in the
and
mountains.
love.
Oh, in the mountains. I love it.
I'm going to kill a bear.
Let's go. Good job, man.
See you guys.
Dude, that was fun.